Hi there, welcome to the Huckleberry Hideaway Homestead for the very first time.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Megan.
We closed yesterday on a 10.25 acre property up in the mountains here, and we are going to be doing this project to document the transition for ourselves, for family, for friends, for a wider audience as well. Hopefully inspire people as we look to move from the rat race into more self-sufficiency, and hope you come along on our journey.
Yeah, this has been a lifelong dream of ours, as long as we've been married. And we're not experts at all to the homestead life, but we really value the homestead values. And part of this channel is to document our growth and hopefully to inspire and motivate others to do the same thing. So hopefully you'll join us as we continue to learn, and hopefully we can teach you a thing or two. And I'm sure we'll learn some stuff as you participate as our viewers. Come on, we'll show you around.
Welcome to the homestead. We'll take you on a little tour as we start off this project. So this is the south entrance. There's two little entrances to the property. It's 10 and just shy of a quarter acre. So let's walk on down.
You guys are going to see there's a lot of improvements we're going to make. So like, look, here's our very first one. See this little fence gate we're going to eventually replace.
Put an actual swing gate in. So we're located in Montana, southwestern Montana. Both Megan and I are kind of hail from the Midwest, but I've always been people who enjoyed the mountains, enjoyed this area of Montana, and always dreamed of moving here. And that dream has come true. So we're up about a little over 5,500 elevation. There's a neighbor heading up. About 5,500 elevation. So pretty forested here, a lot of fir trees, some pine, and mainly coniferous species. Our plan is to also get some aspen going up here. There's currently not any on the property that we found. We do have some Rocky Mountain maple, a lot of wildflowers, some other ground cover.
Yeah, check out these wildflowers.
Again, mainly coniferous wildflower, or coniferous ground cover. Pretty rocky, as you can probably tell already.
Definitely going to have some raised garden beds.
This area of the property is sloping, but a walkable, nice kind of slope, kind of a mix between forested and open areas. Again, some more wildflowers. Quite a few different species we've seen over the last few weeks as we came and looked at the property and moved forward to purchase it.
Yeah, so we've been, like the very first time we looked at this property was like about a month ago, or a little bit over a month ago, and everything has really just kind of fallen into place with it. The previous owners, the sellers of the property, they allowed us to do homeowner financing, which is really the only reason that we were able to make this happen. And so we're just really thankful for that, and really just, it's been a blessing, and just want to give that, praise to the Lord for it as well.
Yeah, huge God thing for all these pieces to fall into place with finding the property in this market, competitive market, the size of the property, and maybe we'll go into more of the details of the background of this place in another video, but just between the owner financing and getting along with the owners, and they liked our ideas of what we wanted to do here, and all of that. So it's just been between that and the owner financing. It's a fixer-upper, as you'll see. So traditional bank financing wasn't really an option in its state when we purchased it. So this has given us the opportunity to really work this thing. So come along.
Yeah, so as you'll see, while we were in the closing process, we were able to come up here and start some improvements. So like you see this big pile of wood, you'll see over here, there's a lot of like, you know, the ladder on the ladder fuel on these trees that need to be cut. And if you walk up, or will follow us as we walk up, all these trees right here surrounding this little stick shed used to be full. Like you couldn't even walk between those two trees. So we've kind of already started a lot of improvement. And actually that shed right there, this morning, it had wood siding on it.
Yeah, I'm sure Megan will cut in some video or photos of it. I was up here today on a day off. It was covered in reclaimed barnwood and really cool. This shed was, its frame, as you can see, kind of not a great building. The barnwood we reclaimed and piled up we're going to use for some other projects, so stay tuned. But this shed's coming down tomorrow. I'm hopefully going to get the rest of it done because we're going to be having some utilities trenched up right there. Allows us to avoid cutting any trees out at this point, and it allows us to get rid of this building that we weren't really attached to anyway. So that's kind of why that thing is in its current state. And if you see these piles of, like Megan said, wood, things of maybe trash and just sort of junk, that's stuff we're cleaning up and organizing to get either hauled out or burned or whatever. So
here's a good little window into the valley down there. We've got a lot of these windows around the property. There's some good views of one of the nearby mountain ranges that we might have to clear just a couple trees out where we don't want to clear out too much. But so as you can see, we're coming up on some of the buildings. This one right here was the bathhouse. This is what the previous owner used for, it just had like a shower, sink, washing machine, all the water things were located there. And then there is the cabin right here, and that's about what, like 300 square feet?
It's just about 400 on the cabin. Detached bathhouse is kind of the way this thing was set up. I gutted the bathhouse building, and it'll be eventually used probably just as storage and tool shed kind of building. You probably saw the propane tank we have. We're gonna have that relocated up to the garage area, which we'll talk about when we get there. There's the pile of wood that I pulled off of the cladding off that other shed building.
And then there's this like great huge deck here. It's beautiful. I think it's really what drew me to the property. Just this outdoor space. And unfortunately,
the property has been was basically abandoned due to health reasons by the owner for the last few years. So this deck is going to have to come out. Hopefully some of it we can reclaim. The rest of it we'll just dispose of or use for other little side projects. Or burn, but eventually the idea would be to get a deck back and utilize this.
He's about to fall through right there.
There's some dry rot in the deck, but the idea would be to build something like this in the future again, just to utilize this outdoor space.
So like right where I'm pointing the camera there, the mountain range is right behind those two trees. So depending on how we build our forever deck or forever home and deck, we might be doing a little bit of clearing.
This is over here is just a tool shed. Just got some tools. It's in disarray kind of right now. Did a little bit of cleaning on it. We won't take you in there yet because it's a mess.
And here's the other side of the cabin.
A little bit here.
Yeah, and we'll take you inside and at another point as well.
Basically right now it's just stripped down. Nice little cabin though with a loft. There's no bathroom. That is wired for power. This over here.
a nice flat spot here.
Area.
Yeah, they did a lot of good excavation work, which, I mean, you can see all the rocks in the ground. It took them a lot of work. Yeah, it took them a lot of work to flatten some of these areas. So those are some great improvements. So
this pile of wood over here is what I reclaimed off of what was a little deck surrounding an old hot tub that was on the property that I cut up and got rid of. We filled two 30-yard rollaway dumpsters from the property. As we sit here, some stuff we are obviously trying to reuse and reclaim, and like these barrels, there's a swing up there.
Yeah, that's a nice little spot.
This is the garage building. It's a 24 by 24 building on a concrete slab with a second story. The second story up there is we are going to be converting into an apartment. So that is the reason that this other building's going away. Trenching the utilities up to the building, and upstairs will be converted to a basically a studio kind of apartment for us for a while. For the first stage of our process up here is to just get it livable, get a good shell, and get up here and start working the place and continuing along. So.
And then the idea long term is to build our forever home kind of on this site where these buildings are already. We'll probably move some of these buildings to different parts of the property. Have like maybe a little guest cabin or something. But these are definitely some of our long-term plans. So hopefully you guys will stick around to see some of that.
Yep. A period obviously of years of building this place up. But yeah, this cabin will eventually, in the shorter term, will probably be used as a guest house and an office. We'll use these other two buildings as storage and tools, and down the road the idea would be to relocate this cabin somewhere else on the property, use it as a guest house, and then build a bigger home. Nothing too extravagant, but more of a home that we can raise a family in, that kind of thing, down the road. So
we'll come and take you down to the chicken coop we have. That we have not looked inside of it yet. It's boarded up right now, but we've been just focusing on other parts of the property first, so that's why we haven't gone in there yet. Another one of our, maybe not as long-term as the permanent home, but kind of mid-range goals would be to get some animals, of course chickens, maybe some turkeys, and then I'm interested in getting some milk goats. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Maybe feed out a steer or something.
And like we said, we definitely are not experts, so a lot of this is going to be learning. Like, I did not grow up on a farm.
Neither did I. I have a little bit of experience. I've worked in agriculture, and
we've lived around agricultural areas, but
yeah,
I've never owned chickens before, so that will be fun.
This is our road that goes down to the other side of the property. This area that you've already seen is kind of sloping, and spots that have been leveled, obviously. This area is basically is steep. Not a cliff, but it's a little tougher to get down. So there's actually a road that had been put in here that allows you access down to that side of the property, which is pretty neat. So it's just kind of like willows down there, kind of a little coulee with a lot of animal sign from what I could tell down there, and just some trees again. Oh, feel some cool air coming up.
Yeah.
So you can see the mountains there. We're up here a little ways anyway. But it's nice to have access with a little cleanup. You could actually get a pickup and even a trailer down there if need be. Here's our boat. So along with this purchase, we got this boat and a trailer. The idea is to get that cleaned up and most likely sold so we can put more money into where it needs to be up here. You can kind of see here the front end of the cabin and that raised deck.
The back end of the cabin.
Or the back end, I guess. But
yeah, you can actually see that huge water tank. That's a rainwater collection tank that he had set up here. So there's another smaller one over by the garage as well. So
our idea is to get that up and running at some point for
garden water
purposes. We do have a well up here. We're on well and septic. We do have power, but the well is not, being where we are, elevation and location, is not a super high producing well. It's enough that we'll have water pressure and be basically living a normal type of life inside with faucets and sinks and that kind of thing. But it's not enough to use for agriculture or outdoors really. So we're going to have to address that as we go. But the idea at this point is to get those tanks up and running so that we can collect rainwater and utilize that for those other purposes.
And so this is the other side of the road that we'll kind of walk down here. Kind of show you a little bit more of our property. The majority of our property is down towards this side. There's another little flat spot.
But as you can see, a lot of trees, a lot of vegetation.
Oh, there's the mountains right there. I've kind of just almost walked right by that.
Yeah.
Kind of see.
So we got great views of the valley and the mountains across, and there's another small range off to this direction. You might be able to see.
Let's go see.
Oh, discovery. Just had a little bit of a electric fence running through here to get those taken down and reused. Can't quite see them through the trees there, but got another mountain range off in that direction. Not as big as the ones you just saw.
And we're pretty within just less than a day's range of Yellowstone. We're pretty close.
Yeah, we're less than 100 miles from Yellowstone National Park. We're about, like I said, I think before 5,500 or so elevation.
The other day we were walking through here and there's a doe. Oh, that just give you a peek of the road. Let's walk the road and then we'll walk over there. Anyway, so we were walking through over here where I'm pointing and saw a doe and two twins and
mule deer.
Yeah, mule deer, and they were so curious. We just stood there, were watching them and kind of talking to each other like in low quiet, and they just walked right up to us. Actually, I got a little video here. I might cut it in here.
Here's another one of the more open areas, some wildflowers. It's kind of, seems we've already seen here as the transition of the wildflowers from the pasque flowers when it kind of middle of May, and now kind of transitioning into some of these other flowers. We're a little bit behind with the elevation down from what the valleys are, so it's kind of cool to see that. And you can see some of these nice open areas here. Not sure what we would use this for, or if it for anything. Maybe just kind of an area with some seating or something like that, just to enjoy the view. But this is our lower road. Not too bad in the summertime. Probably won't be using it much in the winter time, just because of the back and forth. You can see the mountains again there. You might be able to hear a mosquito.
Yeah, I've already been bit on my elbow.
we'll kind of walk the road up here, and then we'll kind of walk down closer to the edge of the property. We're just doing some preliminary stuff as far as identifying plant species and things up here, and getting kind of a feel for things and what we need to, what things we can bring in, what things we can improve, that kind of thing. But actually, it seems overall there's some of these pine trees seem to be getting hit with something, not only on our property but down lower, and I'm not sure if that's the pine beetle or what. I'm going to probably cut off some branches and bring them in to the university to have them check and see if there's something we can do about it, or if it's just nature's course. But the fir trees and the rest of the forest seems to be quite healthy. A lot of grass, a lot of flowers.
So like over here is some of the clearest area that we have.
Yeah. The area around all the buildings is definitely the densest for trees, and then down here we kind of get open out a little bit more,
which is quite nice that we actually have that density near the buildings, because we're in a pretty windy area. So those trees, they're so mature, like they really just block that wind.
Yeah, it's almost no wind at all.
Yeah. But then at the same time, like on our property, we have this like kind of open area, and our idea is to, someday build a little like pavilion down here that has like a bonfire ring and a pergola. That was the word. I was like, what are those called? Yeah, pergola.
Or this would be an area maybe that would be used for grazing too, and just kind of have sectioned off for some of the critters.
Here, I don't want to walk right into the sun, otherwise they won't be able to see.
Sun's going down. But it's 8:40. That's pretty cool.
Yay, summer, longer days.
You can see a lot of rocks.
It's the view again. And our little
of our future burn pile.
Yep. And we're not walking down to the edge here of our property, but
these are starting to come out now. Forget what those were called. We're gonna have to get a plant book so we can have a good idea of what things are. But
or have Sheldon and Cordy on speed dial.
Yeah. My brother does a lot of stuff with plants. But it seems got some young trees down here. Seems pretty healthy.
A lot of dead trees too that we need to clear out. We will most definitely have
lots of firewood.
There's some pasque flower kind of at the end there.
I wonder what this is. A lot of new stuff. We got a bunch of rain recently, and all of a sudden there's plants coming up.
Like we said, you guys, this is going to be such a learning opportunity for us, and we just hope that it's an inspiration that even though you might not know how to do things, but you want to do them, you can do it. The only thing, that's really stopping you is you. You can learn, in today's world of internet, ignorance is a choice. You can always search for things and teach yourself, and of course, finances and resources can be limiting, but they're not absolutely limiting all the time. You can always take baby steps. It took us how many years to get here?
We had wanted to come to Montana for 6 years from when we kind of made that decision, but probably 7 or 8 years from kind of deciding that we'd like to get some land and do more things to be sufficient and try to get out of the rat race. So it's a long time coming. I stopped here because this is an invasive weed called the hound's tongue, and we're going to be battling those. So
Yeah,
stay
we are.
tuned on what we do. They're everywhere.
All right, well, looks like we're going to be coming up into the piece of the property that you've already seen. So, thanks guys for joining us.
Yeah, hope it was cool to see, and hope you come back for more.